Hi everyone, this is John McNaughton. Today we're going to have another conservative drawing lesson, and I'm going to draw John F. Kennedy, a remarkable president with a lot of interesting history that in some ways reflect on how it relates to our day. The eyes are the window to the soul. I always start with the eyes and trying to get the shapes working correctly as I lay them in. And if I can just get that one eye just right, I go to the next one. That's where I always start my drawings. And John F. Kennedy, he's an interesting fellow. I feel sometimes when I draw a picture that I actually get to know them better in a kind of an intimate soul-to-soul way when I draw them, as I work the pencil over the entire surface of the picture. So here I am, I'm placing in the shapes of the eye and the nose, and I find that there's typically about a one eye width between the eyes and a one eye width between the bottom of the eye and the nostril. And so if I can remember some of these proportions, oftentimes it'll help me. Notice that I'm not overdoing the drawing. I kind of keep it simple. My lines are straights and curves to start with. Don't do a lot of little noodling type of lines. Keeping it kind of clean and simple. So John F. Kennedy, he was one of the most popular presidents in American history. He was our 35th president, a former congressman from Massachusetts. He wrote a book in 1961 called Profiles of Courage that won him the Pulitzer Prize. Pretty amazing. And he beat out Richard Nixon to win the presidency. But his presidency was at a critical time in American history. There was a lot of things going on, both in the civil rights area as well as with our foreign policy issues and struggles that we were having with the Soviet Union. You can already kind of get a feel for the way the drawing's coming along here with the eyes and the nose. And isn't it amazing how quickly it starts to come together? Just getting those shapes right. And you got to become familiar with some of the shapes of a face, some of the what we call planes, the little flat edges on the nose and the cartilage and under the eye and things like that. And, a good artist is sensitive to what they're looking at. So the more you're able to see these things in your subject, the easier it gets to draw it. And of course, I've been drawing these little sketches for years, and it's always been kind of my way to relax and hone my skills. And that's one of the reasons I'm even doing all this, is I thought it would be fun for you to watch. So I'm putting in the side of the face and the hairline, and that's a really important measurement as well, because there's usually about a one eye width between the side of the eye to the side of the face. So I'm trying to keep that in mind. Sometimes as the face turns, you don't see that as much. But placing in that part of John F. Kennedy, and I'm really getting a feel for his soul. Those eyes are coming alive. The civil rights movement was probably one of the most interesting and important eras of our country's history. And the way they did things then is a lot different than they're doing it now. John F. Kennedy was a supporter of the civil rights movement in a time when it was a very controversial subject. The difference is, though, that Martin Luther King chose to oppose those who were against him in a peaceful way, peaceful protesting. That is not happening today. And I don't know how, well, I do know, Martin Luther King would be very unhappy if he saw the direction that movement has taken. John F. Kennedy was a good president, and even though he was a Democrat, if he was alive today, he'd probably be closer to a moderate Republican. I think a lot of us have heard that before. I think that he really wanted what was best for America. Now, I have some strong conservative Christian friends that don't like him because of his reputation as being kind of a philanderer, adulterer. You know, he was messing around on the side, which was kind of sad because, you know, his wife seemed to be such a wonderful person, and he had a good family, but he was having adulterous affairs, and the rumors were, of course, that him and Marilyn Monroe had their little fling as well. There was some awkward moments that are caught on tape that we've all seen. So while he was doing that, at the same time, John F. Kennedy was, he really had a strong sense of duty to the country. And I'll explain that in a minute. So it's really starting to look like his face here. And it's not because I'm consciously trying to make it look like John F. Kennedy, even though that's good. I'm more interested in the relationship of shapes, one shape next to another. And, you know, getting those measurements right. I use a lot of alignments. You know, you'll notice that the eye on the left side, the right edge of the pupil, or the iris I should say, lines up with the edge of the nose and the edge of the mouth. And that's called the plumb line. You know, looking for those kind of measurements is helpful to getting an accurate drawing. The thing that we think about the most with President Kennedy was his assassination. In 1963, leading up to the assassination, there were some things that happened that a lot of people are not aware of. There's all kinds of conspiracy theories out there about what had happened. You know, after he was assassinated, there was a special investigation done by the FBI and the Warren Commission, where they determined that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. That it was just one guy, and just one of those stupid things, shouldn't have happened. But since then, I think the American people, for the most part, believe there was more to it than that. A lot of conspiracy theories out there, and some of them have have credence, some of them don't. But one of the things that I find the most fascinating was that about 3-4 months before he was assassinated, JFK signed an executive order that very few people know about. It's Executive Order 11110, which effectively put the Federal Reserve Bank out of business. Now, I wonder if that would make some people in high power pretty upset. You know, we've been fleeced by the Federal Reserve, which is actually not even a government entity. It's a bank, a foreign bank, that charges interest on loans for our money, something that's illegal in the Constitution, but it's been doing it since 1913. John F. Kennedy signed this executive order that would no longer allow them to charge interest on these notes, and the future Treasury notes would be backed by silver. After he was assassinated, they destroyed the notes, and that was completely brushed under the table. So if there's a good conspiracy theory to think about, that would be one. It was a tragedy. You know, a lot of people remember, who were alive at that time, remember the day that John F. Kennedy died. They can remember where they were, what they were doing, as if it was yesterday. Just like many of our generation and those who are younger, who were alive at 9/11, can remember the moment, the day and the moment when they heard that the World Trade Center had been destroyed. That was the significance of the assassination of John F. Kennedy. So at this point, I like to usually draw a famous quote next to the person, and I'm going to cover my drawing with a piece of paper so I don't smudge it. I'm going to put my hand on top of it, and I'm going to write this quote, this actual quote from John F. Kennedy. So he said, quote, "Let us not seek the Republican answer or the Democratic answer. Let us not seek to fix the blame on the past. Let us accept our own responsibility for the future." And that is exactly what we need to do today. Can't place blame on the sins of our fathers. No more of this white guilt. No more tearing down statues and trying to regulate the way people act. As long as we're respectful to each other, that's what matters. Today, with President Trump as president, I see some similarities to that time. You know, we live in a very dangerous world where some of these countries like Russia and North Korea, Iran, China, we're dealing with a lot of delicate situations that could explode into any kind of a world war at any time. And Trump is dealing with similar threats that John F. Kennedy had to deal with. And so if Kennedy was alive today, I wonder how he would respond, how he would feel about the situation in our world today. In my opinion, he was one of our greatest presidents, and I say that because of his courage to do what was right for America. And I believe that Trump is trying to do that too. But I hope that he will keep himself safe, that he will not suffer the same fate as John F. Kennedy, because I know he's got a lot of enemies. I am praying for Donald Trump that he will be safe. If you would like to get a copy of this drawing, I am going to offer a limited edition print, signed and numbered. There's 50 in the edition, which isn't very many, and I sell them for $10 a piece, which is basically nothing. You know, if you'd like to get that, you can find in the description below the link to my website where you can get that print. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any comments, any suggestions for things that you would like me to draw, go ahead and put them in the comment section below. And make sure you subscribe, and you can see all the new ones coming out. Thanks.